In 48 hours in Windhoek, Namibia, I managed to see God's majestic creatures on a sunset safari, eat them, and witness North Korean architecture on a stroll around town. Well, hello there, and welcome to Windhoek, the capital city of Namibia. After a 10-hour flight from Frankfurt, touching down just after sunrise, I'm greeted by probably the most beautiful apron views I've ever seen. I'm lucky enough to be here for a work trip and have around 48 hours of free time to explore. The city is actually quite far from the airport, about a 45-minute drive, but it goes by quickly with views like this and the occasional baboon sighting on the side of the road. I'm staying at the Hilton Windhoek Hotel, which features an amazing rooftop terrace complete with pool, restaurant, and bar. My room is clean, spacious, and actually quite affordable, averaging around $130 a night. It has a large desk, a mini fridge for my beers, and a comfy king-sized bed. The view outside wasn't very entertaining because there was rarely anything going on. This is as busy as it got, no traffic, no people, and we're in the center of town. But luckily, I was able to keep myself entertained by watching some Namibian parliament on TV. The bathroom has an open concept design, so I hope you know your roommate well. A floating mirror separates the sink area from the main entrance, and refreshingly, the toilet area is closed off, so at least you can poop in peace. Now, a huge perk of this hotel is its central location, making it easy to explore Windhoek on foot. There isn't a ton of must-see attractions listed on travel sites, so I made my own walking tour by scouting out interesting places on Google Maps. You can visit all the places I'll show here by following this simple loop from the Hilton. I started with the Independence Memorial Museum, just a short walk uphill from the hotel. Opened in 2014 to mark Namibia's 24th year of independence, it's an interesting looking building that was actually designed and built by a United Nations sanctioned North Korean construction company. You can really see the influence in the bronze relief murals at the base. These are done in a similar style commonly seen in Soviet-era public art. They depict scenes from Namibia's struggle for independence and serve as a reminder of the country's past. Namibia is one of a handful of countries featuring North Korean art. Creating and selling these pieces is part of a broader effort by the regime to circumvent sanctions and generate revenue for its nuclear and ballistic missile programs. I actually skipped the museum itself and went straight to the top floor restaurant. It doesn't cost anything to come up here and enjoy panoramic views of the city, but I did end up getting a beer to enjoy along with the views. You can actually see our next stop from here, the iconic Christuskirche, surrounded completely by a roundabout. It's just across the street from the museum, but unfortunately I couldn't go in, so I just had to admire the structure from the outside. That's okay though, because I met the nicest parking attendant, John, while filming. To make extra money to help his family, he sells these handcrafted keychains, which are probably one of my favorite souvenirs of all time for being so unique and custom. He starts with a palm nut from a native tree, carves intricate animal designs on them, and leaves a blank space to add your name. I was shocked at how fast he could carve. This footage is in real time and not sped up, and I still can't comprehend how so few strokes resulted in such clean letters. This was truly such a great experience, just hearing about John's life and watching his display of skill. I highly recommend saying hi and buying one for yourself if you have the chance. With these nuts in hand, I said goodbye to John and headed towards my next spot, Zoo Park. The park itself is quite small, but the interesting bit is this marker indicating a spot of an old watering hole where elephant bones and hunter's tools were found. The next stop was just a block away. These are the 600-million-year-old Gibeon Meteorites, named after the Namibian village where they were discovered. The fragmented pieces seen here are believed to be part of one large meteorite with a mass of over 17 tons and are rich in iron and nickel. Since 1838, over 150 meteorites have been found. Although some have been smuggled, stolen, or donated, The 30 you see here were designated as a national monument in 1950 for all to enjoy. For the last stop of my tour, I headed to a grocery store to try some local snacks, the most interesting being this local jerky called biltong before heading back to the hotel. Okay, so I'm back from my stroll and here's my haul. I got these shakalaka flavored chips. I got a couple bottles of peri peri hot sauce because I love that pepper. I got 3 different Windhoek brand beers, 1 Tafel brand beer, this local garlic bread, that biltong we just saw, and managed to get some more souvenirs like this bracelet and of course a Namibian pin flag. Alright, so I cracked open these flaming hot shakalaka flavored chips. They're more tomato flavor than chili, but they're still pretty good. Anyways, onto the beer. Being a former German colony has influenced these beer styles as they were all brewed according to German purity laws to only contain 4 ingredients. These are water, barley, hops, and yeast. They all tasted clean, crisp, and crushable, with my personal favorite being the draft. Sorry, Tafel. Walking around town worked up quite the appetite, so for dinner, I met up with a colleague at Joe's Beerhouse, a local favorite and easily one of the most iconic restaurants in Windhoek. This place is huge with so many different dining areas that it kind of feels like an upscale rainforest cafe, minus the jungle soundtrack and with way better food. The menu has a solid beer selection, and I went with the Erdinger Weiss beer, which was the sweetest beer I've tried so far, with a gentle hint of spice. I came here specifically for the Bushman Sosati, a skewer stacked with 5 types of exotic game meats: zebra, kudu, oryx, springbok, and what was supposed to be crocodile, but they were out. Each cut was simply seasoned with salt and pepper, which I really appreciated. It let the natural flavors come through without being masked. Everything was cooked to a perfect medium rare and was served with a chili bean Namibian beer sauce, which added a nice change-up of flavor. They honestly all taste like delicious yet subtle variations of steak sirloin. Lean, tender, and only mildly gamey. Fully satisfied, it was time to call it a night. For day 2, I booked a safari tour at a private wildlife reserve an hour outside of Windhoek. Now, Namibia's major natural attractions like Etosha National Park and the famous Sussersvlei sand dunes require multi-day trips and a couple $100 to do them right. With only a short window of free time and plans to return someday, I figured a day trip was the move. The tour kicked off with a hotel pickup, then headed north on the highway, eventually turning off onto dusty back roads until we reached the Duistrenbroek Guest Farm, the lodge that operates the reserve. We had a little downtime before the safari vehicle arrived, so I took a few minutes to explore the grounds. It's got a very chill, safari outpost vibe, rustic but comfortable, with great views from the bar and dining area. Eventually our safari truck rolled up, and in my excitement, I completely forgot to film it, so cut to us already bouncing through the reserve in this absolute beast of a vehicle. This is also where I learned that I'm not a Nat Geo caliber photographer. Turns out capturing moving wildlife is really hard, so please enjoy the best footage I managed to get. After some incredible animal sightings, our guide cranked the truck into overdrive and powered us up a steep mountain just in time for sunset. About 15 minutes later, we rolled up to the crest, hopped out, and stretched our legs. The views were unreal. Even though we were surrounded by mountains, you can see for miles in every direction. A total reminder of how massive and untouched this land really is. While we wandered around soaking it all in, our guide set up a proper sundowner, a local tradition of enjoying drinks and snacks while watching the sunset. It's a custom I can absolutely get behind. I immediately went to town on some delicious homemade meatballs and cracked open another Windhoek draft. It was the perfect send-off to my short but memorable time in Namibia. So that's a wrap on my 48 hours in Windhoek. Thanks for tagging along. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like, maybe even subscribe if you're into content like this. I've got more adventures coming up, so I'll see you in the next one.